Speaking of changes, I want to change this game like I'm losing in Madden 30-6. Like that, y'all. Some people, they fiend for things they've already seen. I think they wanted me to be like that, y'all. But it wasn't my scene. I started doing these things that made them say they can't do it like that, y'all. Hell no, they can't do it like that, y'all.
What is up, Like City, and welcome back to Spokecast. On today's episode, I am honored to welcome Gabe Tesch. He's a remarkable individual whose journey is nothing short of amazing. Gabe was born and raised right here in Spokane, Washington, and his story is a testament of resilience, determination, and the power of belief. And it's also a story that I believe that every Spokaneite should know about. When Gabe was just 11 years old, doctors discovered a small tumor on the right side of his brain. The tumor was removed, and a biopsy concluded it was actually a grade 3 cancerous brain tumor. Gabe then endured 48 weeks of chemotherapy and 48 days of radiation. During recovery, Gabe's passion for racing propelled him from local kart racing to competing in the fiercely competitive Formula Ford series in the UK. His journey, documented in the film Do Something Extraordinary, which is on Amazon Prime Video, captures his transition from brain cancer survivor to race car driver. Today, Gabe races in the Mustang IMSA Challenge Series with MDK Motorsport, continuing to push boundaries and inspire those facing their own battles. In addition to his racing career, Gabe has founded 48C, an organization named after his treatment journey to support fellow cancer survivors. As Gabe prepares for new adventures, including his new marriage, his story remains a beacon of hope for everyone. You can watch his first race in the IMSA Mustang Challenge this Saturday at 10:05 Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. our time, and is available to watch with your paid subscription on Peacock or for free on IMSA.tv or the Ford Performance YouTube channel. You can find the links to watch Gabe race live, watch his documentary, Do Something Extraordinary, and learn more about his organization 48C in the description of this episode. Now, I know that sounds very canned, but I had to write this so I didn't mess up his story, and I wanted this hit home, like how cool this story is. It's such a remarkable story. Gabe's team reached out to me sometime earlier this year and wanted him to get on the podcast. And when I read about it, I was like, how do I not know about this story? Like, everyone should know about Gabe's story. So I had to get him on. And to be honest, I recorded this back in April, and I've been kind of sitting on it for a while, but I wanted to wait to get it out before his very first race in the IMSA Challenge. And because it's so cool. There's a freaking race car driver from Spokane, Washington that beat brain cancer, and now he's racing professionally. It's so stinking cool. And Gabe is just such a humble dude, and it was such a pleasure to meet him, and I just think he deserves so much of our city's support, and I would encourage you to go follow him on Instagram, Facebook, all the things, and watch him live this weekend and support him. Like, this is so cool. Like, there's no reason to believe that he can't become a NASCAR driver or a Formula One driver, and his story it's so spectacular, and I can't speak more about how cool I think Gabe is. So I'm very excited for you to listen to this episode, and I'm so happy that it's finally coming out for everyone to hear. But before we get into the show, I got to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters, and they are Jonathan Weiser, Luis Garcia, Nathan O'Brien, Pia Hollenberg, Gina Campbell, Enrique de la Novelle, Joe Williamson, Joe Van Voorhis, Elizabeth Geyer, Abby Pointer, Tyler Poole, Judy Pointer, Amber Sparks, Luke Baumgarten, Valerie Ozier, Nick Spanger, and Elizabeth and Bill Pointer. Thank you all again so much for being Patreon supporters. If you want to support what I'm doing here and become a Spokastanite, go to patreon.com/Spokecast. Well, I will not keep you any longer. Here is cancer survivor and race car driver Gabe Tesch. This is Spokecast. I'm here with Gabe Tesch. He is a race car driver, cancer survivor, brain cancer survivor, and born and raised right here in Spokane. Thank you for joining me, Gabe.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, born and raised in Spokane. What hospital were you born at?
Sacred Heart. So
It's one. It's like one of three. I usually.
yeah, exactly.
My twins were born there as well. It's I think it's like a badge of honor to be born in a Spokane hospital. Growing up here, what was some early childhood Spokane memories of the city and being a part of it, coming into the downtown and anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, born and raised here. Some of my favorite parts is just going skiing. We have so many good mountains to ski at.
Yeah.
So many beautiful lakes. I really grew up at the lakes. My grandparents have a cabin out at Lake Roosevelt.
Oh, nice.
So went out there a lot as a kid. Yeah, I just love the outdoors in Spokane, Like
Yeah.
I said, so many places to ski and so many good lakes.
Yeah, I have a cabin out on Sasheen. And I love going all that. There's so many lakes up north, and there's so many places to explore. We do have that old slogan for Visit Spokane was near nature, near perfect, and I couldn't agree with them more. I want to ask about growing up. Is your dad a race car driver?
Yeah, so he raced kind of just for fun, old vintage cars like 240Zs, Datsuns, and stuff like that. And so when I was a kid, I was always at the track. I mean, literally my first word actually was Porsche.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was just in my blood, from the start. But yeah, I'd watch him race, and so it was kind of in my DNA.
Yeah. So I watched a documentary, Do Something Extraordinary. It was. I made my wife and my kids watch it last night, and my kids were very concerned because I was crying in the very first 10. I was when I was watching you as a young kid, 11 years old. My kids are 8 years old, and seeing your mom and your dad dealing with that, being diagnosed with brain cancer at such a young age. When you found out, as an 11-year-old, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, at first it was just really completely hard to understand what was going on. Luckily, my mom had breast cancer before then.
Yeah.
And so I kind of knew what I was getting into, I guess. So I was honestly just terrified and, really scared because, I didn't know if I was going to survive this or not. So.
And, so your parents completely took you out of school and homeschooled you for 3 years pretty much, or?
Yeah, I was so sick that I was just in hospitals all the time. And if I caught anything, it meant 2 weeks in the hospital. So, I couldn't really go to school because I was just so weak and stuff. So they just homeschooled me, which was really hard because, when you're 11 years old, you want to be able to go play with your friends
right.
and go outside and stuff, and you can't really do that. So
what were you doing? Just hanging out in the shop with your dad, or what are some of the things that you were getting into when you were going through that? Yeah,
so honestly, I was just kind of being in the shop with my dad, watching him work on his cars, watching a lot of racing, I was so passionate about race cars and stuff, so I just watched tons of race videos, race movies, watched Formula One on the weekends and stuff. Yeah, and that just really kept me kind of motivated.
So the one thing that stuck out in the documentary and is the name of your organization, 48C. You had to do 48 weeks of radiation and chemo, or what was I was amazed that you had to go through so much treatment. Whenever I hear about it, it's always a couple months, but maybe that is a normal length. I don't know much about. I've never actually experienced anyone in my family to have cancer, so I don't. That seemed like such a long time. Was it just very aggressive treatment?
Yeah, so the treatment was really aggressive. I had stage 3 cancer, which is one of the higher ones. So some people, my mom did 16 weeks of chemo. Yeah. And then I did 48 weeks of chemo and then 48 days of radiation. So it was quite a lot of treatment. That was so about almost 2 years of battling cancer. Yeah.
And I should now that you've gone through it, so you've been clear for how long?
Oh my gosh, I'm starting to lose track now, but think of 8 years cancer free.
Okay, but you have to go in yearly, right, to get checked up?
Yeah, yearly checkup still. That's always kind of a hard time too, because you never know, because they say it can easily come back, but right now completely healthy. So
yeah, I want to go into racing in Spokane just a little bit before we get into everything that you're into now. Like when you were like, I was watching like you raced at what's that event that you were that you raced at, and that's a local Spokane racing event with vintage cars.
Yeah, so out in Airway Heights, they have the track. It's just the Spokane Vintage Historics, and I got invited to be the guest pro driver, I guess. And we got to raise money for ACOIN and stuff, which is a childhood cancer foundation. And it was pretty awesome. We raised a lot of money for them. I got to do a lot of cool laps in a really old car, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I honestly, I've been up to Airway Heights a couple times for like drag racing, but I did not know they had a road course. And like the history of like racing in Spokane, I don't really know much about. But is there a pretty tight knit community of racers and people racing in Spokane?
Yeah, there is a lot of people that like race vintage cars. We used to have the Grand Prix actually down here. It was like some vintage Grand Prix actually that would race in downtown. Yeah. And they close off the roads and stuff. So that was kind of a big deal for Spokane. But I don't really know any professional drivers. I think I'm really the only one, Spokane is kind of out of the way to all the racetracks in Spokane. Right. It's not really race central like Indianapolis or whatever. Yeah. So that kind of makes it hard when it comes to traveling and stuff because we have to travel so much.
Definitely. I grew up in Spokane. I have family down in like Missouri and Kentucky, and I remember going down there as a kid, and we would go to like a race course like on like a dirt track thing on Friday nights, and I was like, there's such a down south, there's such a big culture of racing, and I just like there's not much in Spokane, so it's always interests me when people get into it. But before we get into racing and how you got into that, I want to do a quick little game. It's called the Spokecast Hot List. It's just I will say one word, and you say like the first word that comes to your mind, like as it relates to Spokane. Okay. So pretty easy, hopefully. And I always start with the easy word is park.
Why am I overthinking this? Gosh. See, the thing is, I grew up way out in the country.
Right? That's so true.
So I'm like that. I never come downtown and stuff, so I always forget, like, names and stuff.
Riverfront Park is probably the easiest one.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I don't know why that space.
No, you're fine. Coffee. Wake up call. Perfect. Burger.
Burger.
You can say like because you grew up out, like you went to Freeman, like you can say places out there too. Like it doesn't have to be Spokane.
The Smackies have burgers. I know Smackies is a pretty big place in Spokane. I can't remember if they have burgers.
I think they do. Yeah. How about shopping?
Northtown Mall, I guess.
How about pizza?
Papa Murphy's, I guess.
And how about favorite like Spokane event?
I guess Hoop Fest.
Yeah. Have you played ever?
No.
But it's definitely it's a good one.
I think I don't think I'm the best at
basketball. Well, so you like another one on this is neighborhood. So you grew up in the where'd you grow up at?
Way out in Micah. Kind of it's like 5 minutes from Freeman.
Yeah.
Valley Forge area and stuff like that. So way out in the country. Beautiful place to grow up. I love it out there.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk about your Make-A-Wish story. The one thing in the doc that was after you went through treatment and you got to go do your Make-A-Wish story. And what was your wish?
Yeah, so my wish was to go to the Austin, Texas F1 Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. So they sent me down there with my whole family and stuff, and we got Mercedes VIP tickets. I got to hang out with Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, which were the Mercedes drivers at the time.
Yeah.
So that was super cool because I was around the drivers. I was in the garages, hanging out with them. Retro.
The perks of having a studio downtown.
You're right. But yeah, no, I got to hang out with the drivers. You know, I was right there by the car, and it was so cool because you know I was 12 years old at the time, and you know, being a 12-year-old and being around the drivers, those are like superheroes to you. And you know, we were there for 3 days, and just being in that atmosphere, you know, really got me like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So,
had you never been to an F1 event before?
No. You know, it's not super big in the States. It's more like a European thing. It's actually gotten bigger in the States since the new Drive to Survive series came out on Netflix. But yeah, we only used to have like one Grand Prix a year in the States, and tickets are like always super crazy expensive. And never got to make it happen, but yeah, thankfully we got to. My wish trip was there, and
my friend went down to Vegas for the F1 on I don't know if it's F1, but it was like on the streets of Vegas.
Yeah,
and he said it was amazing. Like it's like nothing he'd ever experienced, like sporting event wise, like because it's just such a spectacle. I'm very interested in this. I've been to like a NASCAR race in like Kansas City, but I feel like closed course, like course tracks, are so much different than like a oval, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, it's insane because Formula One cars do, like, they're the fastest cars in the world, and just to see them, like, you know, they have so much downforce. It's not really about like the straight line speed, but the way they can take corners at like 120 miles and stuff. It's just insane to watch. So it's pretty cool, and they put on good events. You know, a lot of famous people. It's like the Super Bowl. So
So you go to this. You go to this F1 event, and then you're like, Mom, Dad, I want to focus on becoming a race car driver. So what was like, I mean, obviously racing's like in your family, but like what was their response to like you wanting to do that?
Yeah, so yeah, this kind of funny story. We were actually at the airport, and my parents are like, okay, you know, you're done with cancer and stuff. What do you want to do? I was like, I want to be a race car driver. And they're like, of course you want to be a race car driver. You just got back from this amazing trip.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, God didn't get me through cancer to do something ordinary. He got me through cancer to do something extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I believe that with all my heart. So they were like, whoa. And they were like, and then after that, you know.
Like a 12-year-old's telling us adults, like, yeah, if my son came to me, he's like, I want to just focus on this, and said something to me like that, I'd be like, let's figure it out. Yeah. So what was the first step? Was it just go-kart racing?
Yeah. So you start out go-karts. All the professional drivers start there. So my dad bought me a go-kart. He was fully dedicated, you know, because I mean, I think like when you almost lose your kid, you know, and then you realize how time is so fragile and how life can be so short. And so my parents fully backed me. So they, you know, bought me a go-kart. They were traveling with me all over the place. And first we just started out in the local series, local championship. And my first race, I crashed. My second race, I got dead last. And then just something clicked, and I won like 8 races in a row after that.
Wow.
And ended up winning the championship in my rookie year. And then my parents were like, whoa, you really have some talent. So we just kind of kept moving up the ladder after that.
What are the next steps after like this go-kart racing? Like, because you're also like, at this time, you're 12, 13 years old, right?
Yeah. So, you know, you just kind of keep going. So they're like karting, you kind of have the local level, regional level, pro level, national level. And then, you know, once you kind of get good enough and you're able, you know, find sponsors and stuff, you can move up to cars like Formula Ford or F4. A lot of really good series, kind of the rookie level for drivers to move into. And yeah, just keep going from there.
Yeah. When so after the success, like what was the next step? Like where did you go after that?
Yeah, so my dad made a deal with me once I started when I could go to any pro racing kart and finish in like the top 5. He's like, okay, you're ready to move to cars. So I did that. I dominated the regional championship and was winning a lot of the pro events, and we were able to get a lot of sponsors. And so I moved into Formula Fords over in Europe, in the UK.
Yeah.
So I moved over to the UK, found a team, and lived over there and raced in that series.
Wow. How old were you when you like moved to the UK?
I was Oh man, I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you like during when you were racing here in Spokane or regionally, because like how much of the series is based in Spokane?
Not at all.
None. Okay. Like when you say like you're traveling a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of travel. So like I said, I lived in the UK for a year.
Yeah.
Travel all around the UK.
Yeah.
Like for this year, we have a race in Ohio, New York, Florida, California, Texas. It's all, a lot of traveling, which can get pretty exhausting, but at the same time, it's so cool because you get to see a lot of places of the world and stuff. So.
When you were racing like in Formula Ford in the UK, like how did that come about? Did they like target you? Like, hey, like there's like I'm losing what they're called, like a team. Like, did they like say like, oh, we're come race with us, Gabe? Or like how did or were you seeking out going to England to race? Like, because obviously like that seems like because there's such a big in the UK and in Europe like a lot of racing series, right?
Yeah. So at first, when you're kind of a rookie, it's all pay to play racing is.
Okay.
And so I had to go out and my family at all can't afford what we're doing. So I had to go out myself and start finding sponsors, people in the Spokane area or whatever, friends that wanted to support me. So then I tried to start finding a team. I found Team Dolan, which was the team I raced for in the UK. Yeah. And, I gathered up my sponsorship money and then talked to the team. We made a deal and I flew over there and so it kind of just all went from there.
How many seasons did you do in Formula Ford?
Just one.
Just one.
So I lived over there for 9 months. I think it was about almost close to 20 races that year, which was pretty packed calendar. But it was awesome. I got to see a lot of cool places.
How did you finish in the series?
I think I ended up finishing like 10th in the championship.
Oh, nice.
Out of the 30 drivers.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy with that in my rookie season. Got a couple podiums and stuff, which was awesome. It's really intense over there. The competition over there is like no other.
Yeah.
Just because in Europe it's like a religion. It's like soccer over there, you know. So it was a pretty big deal.
Are the drivers that are racing in Formula Ford when you were over there are they all around the same age as you? Like too? Like is it a young person's game over there? Or are there people like just trying to get into racing too? Like are you racing against people of all ages?
Yeah, all ages. There's actually drivers that were pro and they still want to race, so they go to Formula Ford just to have fun. Yeah. So you're racing against like pro drivers that have quite the pedigree and stuff, and then you're racing against drivers my age and stuff. So wide range for sure.
Yeah. Is that Formula Ford like? Is it? I mean, you have a team that like kind of puts the car together for you, but like you're all on the same playing field in like how the car is designed, right? Like it's kind of like stock car. Is that a term for that? Like
yeah. So all the cars are the same. There's there's certain rules to make it all equal. Have to be a certain weight and stuff. So it really all comes down to the driver. But you also can make setup changes. So like it's super important as a driver to be able to feel the car and be able to talk to his mechanic. Okay, like I need a little more front bar or something because the car is like understeering or oversteering.
Okay.
So that definitely plays into a race weekend, but pretty much it's all stock. So like at the end of the day, it all comes down to the driver.
Yeah. How much like the one thing that in the doc that in the very beginning of it they're putting you into one of these Formula Ford cars and they're kind of adjusting it to your body. And the one thing I saw is like they're literally pouring like I guess like a mold in behind you because like you're just like kind of like squished into this like perfectly into this car that's like suited for you, right?
Yeah, so you're pretty much molded to it. They have like these seats that foam around you and stuff, and like it's pretty intense. It's super important to be comfortable. Yeah. We spent like a whole day like just trying to get the perfect fit into the race car, adjusting the pedals, steering wheel. It's quite a process.
Yeah. What culturally, like being over in England, I've been over to England a couple times. I've never been to, you were like based in Suffolk, or did they say right? What was it like living over there?
It was definitely hard to get used to. It's such a culture shock, you know. It's so different, sense of humor and everything, you know. And I lived in this really small town called Woodbridge, like you said, in the Suffolk area, and you know, really nothing to do at all. And but it was still super cool, you know, like to be able to kind of see the culture and stuff. But yeah, it took some time to get used to.
Definitely. So in the doc, you pretty much covers like your time in Formula Ford. This documentary, Do Something Extraordinary, how did this come about, and to tell like your story of going through cancer, surviving cancer, and then becoming a professional car driver? Like, who came to you and your family to start this?
Yeah, so Pindare Films, they came up to us. They're a film company over in Tri-Cities area. And, you know, they just said, we really love your story and we want to be like do a docu-series on you and kind of your journey from having cancer to becoming a pro race car driver. So once, you know, we're like, wow, that would be really cool. And, you know, kind of our vision was just to be able to give inspiration to people out there battling cancer and, you know, kids and adults that are in this fight. We wanted to be able to give them inspiration and show them that this is possible and you can achieve your dreams. Don't let cancer hold you back. So we're like, yeah, we'd love to do this. So it was like 2 years of filming. And then the crazy thing, all that footage we had when I was going through cancer too, that was from a friend, Brad Baxter. The school that I was going to actually put an event on to raise money for me. And so Brad got tons of footage of, you know, me at the hospital and stuff. And so they were able to take that and put that in the film too, which was super cool.
That's awesome. Wow. I should ask, like, were you filming going through cancer just to have video of you? Like, I couldn't imagine, like, were you thinking about a documentary back then, or were you just thinking about, like, your parents just thinking, I want to have video of Gabe?
Yeah, it was just, I mean, at the time, it was just, you know, focus on survival. Really.
Yeah, right?
And it was cool because, like, the school wanted to help, so they wanted to throw, you know, an auction and stuff. So they wanted footage to be able to kind of show what was going on to people and stuff. And so it was cool to see that support. You know, the Freeman area, they really, you know, wrapped their arms around us and really helped out. You know, Spokane was amazing during, you know, all my treatment.
Totally.
There was so many friends and family that wanted to help out. So it was encouraging to see that support.
Yeah. I want to actually go back to Freeman. I do want to talk about the story because you went to Freeman High School. You survived cancer. And then you went back to school, like your first back in school, and you're at Freeman. And this is 2017.
Yeah, I think it was 16 or 17. Yeah. I'm after COVID, you know, I totally lost track of time.
Right. But you were at Freeman High School when the shooting happened. I remember where I was at when it happened. I got the news. I was like at a doctor's office, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this has hit Spokane." And like you hear about school shootings all the time, unfortunately, but it happened here in Spokane. And it hit really close to home. But you were there, and tell your story of how you kind of went through that, because the story is your mom had a feeling, and then you were at school and you got a feeling, and it happened right outside the classroom that you went into. Like, tell the story.
Yeah, so it was crazy. It was literally my freshman year of high school, and I just got done with all my treatment. So I'm like back in school full time.
Yeah,
it was like the first 2 weeks into school when it happened, and you know, I took off to school, and I guess my mom's side of it, she got a really sick feeling, so she just started praying right away. And then when I got to school, you know, mostly I just walked through the halls, hanging out with my friends and stuff. But at that time, I got a sick feeling too, so I headed into classroom early. And like right when I got into the classroom, I heard gunshots, and it was just like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah,
you know? It was just a huge hit on the Freeman area. You know, you would have never guessed it would happen to Freeman out of all places in the world. Mm-hmm. And you know, just going through cancer, getting back into the rhythm of school, and then this happened, and it's like, gosh, you can't get a break.
Right.
So it was a tough hit for sure.
Yeah, but the kind of what you said right before that is like Freeman is such a strong community. And the one thing I remember reading about, it's just like the families and people coming together to, support the school, the students that are going through it, and the families that were affected. Like, it just seems like that it is such a tight knit community up there in Freeman, and it just seems like but like at the aftermath of it, like what how did you deal with that? Like, I know, because like I feel like that's like such a crazy thing to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like going through cancer, I learned so much. I really realized how short life is, and I just became a way stronger person. And then going through that was just another wake-up call to, how really short this life is, how fragile it is. And, it kind of almost motivated me more in a way to continue after this race and dream and give inspiration to people out there that are dealing with a bunch of stuff going on in their life, like school shootings and cancer and stuff. I mean, at first it was really hard to take. At first I was like, why can't I just get a break from life, and then it also just motivated me to continue racing, give inspiration to my friends at Freeman, and show them, all things are possible and there's no dream too big.
Definitely. So the documentary came out about a year ago, correct?
Yeah.
And what has been, since it's come out, like what has been the response to it? And like, because you do a lot of speaking events, you do a lot of community events, you have your own organization called 48C, but like what's kind of been after the doc came out, like what has been the response to it?
Yeah, the response has been amazing. There's so many families out there, so many kids and stuff that have emailed me, messaged me on Instagram and stuff, and just saying like, wow, you like really gave my family a lot of inspiration, and you've helped us out a lot. That documentary really motivated us and stuff, and that's like, for me, that's the main thing. I love racing cars, but I'm so thankful to be able to use my platform of racing cars to be able to kind of help people out that need it, and the response just to the documentary has been amazing.
Yeah. Can you talk about your organization 48C and what that organization's all about?
Yeah, so actually here on my shirt is the logo, so we call it the Thrive Icon. So like I said, the 48 stands for the 48 weeks of chemo I went through and the 48 days of radiation. And then the C stands for like, champion or Christ or cancer. And then the green stands for renewal, rebirth, new life. Gold is for childhood cancer, and then the gray is for brain cancer. And so we kind of made this logo up, and anyone can go into the website and design their own logo. So like if like my mom, since she had breast cancer, her ribbon would be like pink, and then the green always stays the same, and then she'd have the gray because her son went through brain cancer.
Yeah.
So anyone can have their personal logo, and it's just a community of survivors that want to go and achieve something extraordinary in their lives, whether that's becoming a firefighter or learn how to knit, from something little to something big. And we're just we just want to be able to help people out in the community, and when you go through cancer, you almost get this PTSD that it's kind of like a soldier coming back from war. You don't really know what to do with your life after.
Yeah.
You have this whole support team, and you're going through this battle, and then you get done, and that kind of all goes away, and you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So we want to be able to show people like, go after your dreams. Don't let the fear of cancer hold you back. And so it's kind of a community of survivors just talking to each other, supporting each other's dreams, and going after it.
That's amazing. Is there how many members you have in it currently?
We haven't really officially started.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of starting this summer, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of put together the website and starting talking to people about it. So
nice.
I can't wait to get officially started and start helping people out.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here to talk about it, because that's definitely, I mean, that does seem like it would be very hard to go through, because you're like, you're going into hospitals, you have a team of doctors and nurses that are helping you through it, and then once it's over, it's just like, well, you're hopefully cured, but you're also like, you don't have that support system, and to create a support system and a community of like-minded people that are, trying to overcome, surviving cancer. People don't talk about that much. You think oh, survive cancer, everything's good now. But like really, like there's, especially for someone who went through it for how long you did, like and then it's always, I imagine even in the first couple years of after it, like it's always probably in the back of your mind, like, will it come back, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, beating cancer is just another part to having cancer, because it's still so hard, because you feel stuck, and you're like, you don't know what to do. Your life has been paused for so many years. Yeah. And it's just so hard to just go back to normal life like nothing happened. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that. And like I said, you get just afraid of it coming back. So you don't really, a lot of people just kind of go into this depression because they're so afraid of it coming back and stuff. And it's hard for sure.
Yeah. So what's next? I mean, I heard not heard, but you're getting married in May. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's a big what's next step. But what's next, like in your racing career? I know you're not going back to England, and you're racing here in the States now. What circuit are you going to be racing on, and like what kind of support are you looking for in your new endeavor?
Yeah, so this year is actually my first official season of professional racing. I signed with a team called MDK Motorsport in the new Mustang IMSA Challenge Series. So super excited for that. Really looking forward to it. First race is in Ohio in early June. Can't wait. Like I said, it's my first season of professional racing. All the races are actually live on NBC Sports and Peacock.
Oh, nice.
So, you can tune in. Everyone here in Spokane can tune in.
That's awesome. I'll definitely be tuning in, yeah. Like, what after that, like, is the Mustang Challenge like a step to, like, what kind of racing do you want to do? You want to do Formula One? Do you want to do NASCAR? Like, what kind of racing do you hope to, like, eventually get into?
Yeah, I mean, Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsports, and that's the ultimate dream for sure. Racing's kind of funny. There's so many different places to go, and it's like there's a million different paths, and just each year you can go, into sports cars or open wheel. It's always something different. So, wherever God takes me to, tell people my story and give inspiration, I can't wait to see where I will be in the future. But like I said, Formula One's definitely the ultimate goal.
Yeah. That's so, like, how will you be based in Spokane the whole time and then just travel to these places?
Yeah, it depends. Like I said, when I raced in the UK, I lived over there. So if I go back to Europe, I'll probably have to live over there. It really depends where the team is based. Yeah. But right now I want to base myself in Spokane because I just love Spokane. I love this area. I have a lot of friends and family here, and I remember living in the UK. I got kind of homesick after a while. Right. So yeah, for now, basing myself here, especially since I'm just getting married like in May. But yeah.
I was gonna ask how do you, like, training wise, like in like living in Spokane, like how do you train? Like I know like you have a probably crazy like workout regimen, like of like working out every day, right? Or I shouldn't say every day, but you're getting ready to race, like, because like the one thing I remember getting in an argument with a friend a long time ago, and he was like, oh, like NASCAR is not a sport. And I'm like, dude, these guys that are racing in NASCAR and gals they're like elite athletes. Like, you can't be out of shape in this car because it's not like you have the AC on, right?
Right,
like,
yeah.
You got to be in like peak physical shape, right?
Yeah, AC actually you lose horsepower. So. Right. But no, yeah, that's one of my pet peeves is people say race car drivers aren't real athletes sometimes. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, only if you could drive a race car and like understand. But yeah, it's a lot of training, a lot of working out because the races are so long. You can have races from an hour to 2 hours, even maybe there's endurance races are up to 24 hours. And, it's like, you know, in football, you make one play and then there's kind of a timeout and stuff. So you have to have that complete focus for like that 1 minute. But in racing, you have to have complete focus for hours and hours. And if you lose any focus, that could mean life or death. So it's a lot of focus. You know, the cars are super heavy. So, you know, you're turning like 30 pounds for, you know, multiple hours.
Right.
And so a lot of arm muscle, a lot of G forces, because, you know, the downforce is just so insane when you break into a corner that you're carrying like 3 to 6 G's each corner. So a lot of neck muscles. So it takes a lot of training for sure. A lot of sim time too. We have racing simulators. So before race weekends, we'll hop on that and just learn the track, learn the car. So, you know, you're training, you know, 5 days a week. Preparing for race weekends.
I just watched the movie Gran Turismo, and I thought the movie was awesome. Like, I think the story of this, I'm really butchering how I'm saying this right now, but the story is like a kid like races on like his PlayStation or whatever computer, and then gets a chance to race in like it's not Formula One, right? It's like a Nissan series or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, the point being is that they race on these simulators, and I was like, that looks so freaking cool. And that kind of like that's what you train on, kind of, right? With a big like monitor and like an actual like steering wheel. Does that replicate like the weight of the car? Try to, at least.
Yeah, so the simulators now are crazy. So the steering wheels, they get super heavy, so you kind of get the feeling of how heavy the steering is. So you get an arm workout.
Yeah.
And then it actually has motion, so you can feel like the whole rig like move around stuff. So it's it's crazy. So it's insane. Like, if you don't have a racing simulator, you're way behind the game, because every driver nowadays are using those, especially since that movie came out. You know?
Do you stream like yourself doing like these races? Like I like on TikTok and on like YouTube and or Twitch or whatever. Like, there's a ton of people like that are streaming themselves like playing like Gran Turismo or other racing games. Like, do you do anything like that?
Not really. You know, I have, you know, Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and TikTok, and I post some stuff there a little bit, you know, me just training and stuff, but haven't gotten to the streaming thing. But I see the same thing. There's a lot of drivers that do that, and even like Formula One drivers, Max Verstappen, he streams a lot of his sim training and stuff, and it's become a really big deal, actually. There's professional sim racers out there now and stuff, and it's insane.
I mean, I imagine it's probably changed the game a little bit, just because like you can practice like racing on the course you're gonna go drive, right?
Yeah. So like right before a race week, I'll, you know, get in that same car, that same track, and practice laps, and there's no consequences. So if I crash, it's fine. So it's definitely a really good, useful tool for training.
Yeah. Well, Gabe, this has been great. I was so intrigued when your team reached out to me about being on the podcast, because I was just like, it was crazy to me that I've never heard of you before. Like, in that you're from Spokane, you're a brain cancer survivor, now a professional race car driver. Like, that story, that's a very unique story and needs to be told. And I would encourage anyone to go watch the documentary Do Something Extraordinary. Where can people find that at?
Yeah, so you can find it on Amazon Prime Video. Just type in Do Something Extraordinary. And then you can follow me on, you know, social media. My Instagram's just Gabe Tesch 48C, and then my Facebook is Do Something Extraordinary. Yeah.
I would love to ask one last question is, you know, through all this, like, and you've said it a couple times, is what is, you said it already, do something extraordinary, but like, what is your word to someone that like wants to overcome, like, it doesn't have to be cancer or but like anything, like overcome an adversity. Like, what's your pitch to them to make sure that they go do something extraordinary?
Yeah, for me, it just, if you want to achieve a dream, no matter how big that dream is, it just takes a lot of hard work and dedication. And, you know, we're all going to have struggles in life, you know. There's no getting past that. but those struggles to me make us better. And so it's just getting through those struggles and not letting those hold you back from achieving your dreams.
Yeah, well, you're an inspiration. I think it's amazing that you've overcome so much to get to where you are today. And like I said, go watch the documentary. But the one real last question I always have to ask is, why Spokane?
Why Spokane?
Yeah.
Just because I grew up here my whole life and I love it, and I think Spokane, it's it's kind of it's big, it's growing, but at the same time it's kind of a small world. I feel like everyone knows everyone. Like I said, when I was going through cancer, there's so many people supporting me, and so it's like I said, it's big, but it's also a tight community. So
yeah, well, that's awesome, Gabe. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I am very excited to watch your story and your rise through the racing world. I hope you do great in your first race, and I will definitely be tuning. It's on, so it's June 7th through the 9th. Is it the Mid Ohio Sports Car? Oh, that's where you're racing at. But it's the Mustang Challenge Series. I'll post about it and let everyone know how to watch it when it gets closer. And that's freaking cool. So.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you all for joining me on Spokecast. Until next time, peace.
Without a day, hey, somebody better tell Ellen that I'm on the way. Somebody tell Charlamagne, hey, I'm on the way. There ain't a stage in this world that I couldn't play. Coachella with a full live band would make sense. DJ sets at Summer Jam makes sense. We just getting friendly, people, so it'll make sense soon. I hope soon, sooner than later. Cause I've been contemplating my life if I never make it. I'd only know when I'm on the bed, dying to 80. I'm that dedicated, I care more.